Hi, everybody. Welcome back to 9 Acres of Nothing podcast. I am Ginger with Not For Nothing Homestead, and my co-host over here is...
I'm Dale with 9 Acre Family Farms, and it's so happy to see you guys or talk to you guys today.
Yes, so we're going to bring you another installment of 9 Acres of Nothing podcast. Last time we left off with you guys, we had a special guest and we were talking about cattle, and we just did not have enough time to get through everything we wanted to ask or everything that we wanted to know. But as always, first, we're going to bring you a scripture for you to take with you throughout the week that relates to homesteading. That's what we've been trying to do. So, Dale, take it away.
Well, today's verse actually is part of a parable that Jesus talked about, and it was a parable of the weeds. And it comes from Matthew 13, chapter 13, verse 24. Starts with, Jesus told them another parable. The kingdom of heaven is like a man who sowed good seed in his field.
That is so awesome. I love that one.
I think, it's a great, and if you finish reading that, I encourage everyone to read that parable. So many truths, so much can be gleaned from that one story in the Bible.
Yes. Yeah, all the stories are good.
Oh, yeah.
They're all really good.
And it's funny to me how much of it centers around farming, ranching, herding, gardening. So much can be derived from that through the Bible. So
I think so as well.
What we choose to do here by homesteading, gardening, or farming is it's biblical. So when you're out there and and the pigs have got out or the cattle have got out or you're working them together and you have to apologize to your spouse for what you said during that, just always remember it's biblical what you're doing.
Yes. We're going back to our roots, back to where it all started from.
Yes.
So, and that, you know what? And that makes me feel really, really good about everything I do. And then at the end of the day, when I'm exhausted or I'm frustrated, I want to pull my hair out, I just think of that and what it's all, in the end, it is all so worthwhile. So, okay. Are you ready to bring up our guests for today?
Nah, I think we'll let them wait for a little while.
Whoops. I took that off, put it on, took it off, put it on.
Let's open the door.
We're going to go ahead and bring him up. Okay. Here is Johnny with Gillum Farms.
Hi, guys. Good to be here.
Hi, Johnny.
Hey.
Hi, Dale. Johnny. Hi, Ginger.
Thank you so much for coming on again and letting us pick your brain and ask you questions. I think that Dale and I both have gotten good responses off of the podcast and people getting things from it. And I love that they can just, put on the podcast and hit play all, and they can just listen to it while they're working out or while they're driving or doing something, and they're not having to watch it as well. So nice. I think it's a good benefit. And I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule, and so does Dale, to be on here and share your knowledge.
Sure thing. Happy to be here.
So So Dale, I was like the motor mouth last time, and I was asking so many questions and so many things. But I thought maybe this time I would kind of let you take over. Although there is one thing that Johnny, and hopefully you guys have already subscribed to Gillum Farms, but there is one thing that's new on his homestead that wasn't there when we did our last podcast. Do you want to let everybody know about that, Johnny?
Sure thing. We had a cow that was very. She was due. I mean, she was going to have a calf. And we were in the polar vortex. It was -5, -4, -6. The nights, the days never got above the single digits. And we were fretting about this calf because we don't live right with the cattle where we're at. So since we don't live right with the cattle, I had to be there as much as I could, but I couldn't be there all night. And we were afraid that the calf was going to be born at night. Its navel would get frozen to the ground and it wouldn't be able to get up and nurse. So because their navel is raw whenever they're born, they have that's where they're attached to their mother, and it's raw, and it can actually wet, and it can freeze to the ground, and they can't stand up. So, but luckily, we had one day that got into it was like a wild day in the middle of all that, where it got into the 40s.
Yep.
And she had that calf that morning. So the best possible time, I got there approximately a half hour after the calf was on the ground. Wow. She had already cleaned it off. It had already nursed whenever I got there. So best possible outcome. That night it got down to, I think, 6 degrees. But the calf was fine because once it's dried off and it's got that milk in its belly, they pretty much are good to go as long as they're up. And
pretty cold hardy, aren't they?
Yes, they are. They're a lot more cold hardy than people put them out to be. I mean, you got to think about they're just hardy animals. They're very, very hardy. Animals. So.
Yeah.
But anyway,
and
yes,
you had tons of snow on the ground.
Oh yeah, it was. She was. The mother was, it was an experienced mother, so she found a dry spot behind a cedar tree where the leaves were all dried out. So she had this thing like in a natural nest. She had this calf, and the calf's name is Miracle because, as Ginger likes to say, she threaded the needle to have that calf at the most perfect time possible during all this inclement weather. And I had so many friends who lost so many calves during that time because they were born at night. It was negative temperatures, and just like I said, they were frozen to the ground before they could be dried off.
Oh gosh.
So, yes, and it's an unfortunate thing that does happen. We don't get temperatures like that often, but sometimes inclement weather will cause cattle to go into they'll start having babies in inclement weather.
Yeah.
So luckily our cow did the exact opposite. she
That's so crazy. And we are all three of us here are very faith-based families.
Yes.
And I remember you had a couple lives going out there to check on her. You had like a foot of snow. You had days that were ice. You had days that there were only one vehicle would start.
Yeah.
So you could go out there and the fact that she actually went into labor on the most perfect day and you could get out there, it's just, if you deny that God is all over that, then you have got your head in the sand.
That's right. everything there was the glory of God. I mean, it was a perfect scenario in
Mm-hmm.
that
It was.
instance. It's not always that way, but this one was. So we're happy about that. Little Miracle is doing great.
And I love
Fantastic.
that name. That name is so awesome. Okay, Dale. Now you're gonna rapid fire some questions at Johnny that's gonna kind of go off.
Rapid fire question.
I'm just kidding.
Do I look like a rapid fire? Maybe if I got a shotgun in my hand, right? I just empty the thing, nothing happens. But anyway, so some things that I had thought about and I wrote down. We kind of left off with the story of Danny and how you acquired him, and we were right in the middle of this. You had Miracle's mama was getting ready to give birth to her, and like your story said, everything happened in God's perfect timing. Mm-hmm. And some of that will go along with the next thing that I was going to talk about, which is you run several head on not a lot of pasture ground at a time, right?
That's right.
So you implement pasture rotation, and I thought maybe you could talk a little bit about your rotational grazing, and how you implement that on your farm.
Yes. Okay. So where the cattle are, we have approximately 30 acres behind fence. What we have done is we have split it up into three 10-acre paddocks. Some of the paddocks have more woodland cover than others, and the reason they're wooded, even though I do have a bulldozer and I could clear them, is because there are some of them that are so rocky. It's so rocky that people used to come and buy rock off of us. That's how rocky the ground.
Wow.
Yes, they bought trailer loads of rock off our place. So those areas we only have partial. I'd say one of our paddocks has approximately 6 acres of open ground. One of them has approximately maybe 3 acres of open ground in it, 3 or 4. And then one of them has almost the entire 10 as open ground.
Oh, nice.
So what we do is they run in the one that's 10 open ground quite a lot, and that's the pond paddock.
Okay.
The front grows very fast though. It's because it is where our home place used to be. It's where we used to live. So I mowed it and I mowed it and I mowed it. It doesn't have that much rock on it at all. And after all that time of mowing and letting the grass clippings get down and help the soil and stuff like that, that part of the property actually grows fast. So I will move them up to that paddock. Then I will run them after I run them there for about a week, I will move them over to the transition paddock. I can run them in the transition paddock about 3 days is about all I can run them. By that time, we've got 8 or 9 days of growth on the 10 acres. So, and it just depends. In the spring, like whenever the spring flush comes, they can live up in the front paddock for 2.5, 3 weeks.
Oh, wow.
On the grass that's up there. And then the second one, they can live in it for a week and a half, and the pond paddock, they can stay in there for a month. It's because of how the grass is growing. As the year goes along and grass is trying to get to a point where it makes seed. That's grass's whole purpose. It's just like anything else. It's just trying to reproduce. So once it gets to a certain point, grass will grow tall in the spring. In the spring and early summer, grass will grow tall. The farther you go through the year, the less the grass is as it's eaten down or it's clipped or cut or anything like that. It gets to a point where it doesn't want to grow as tall because it knows that it has to make seed. So it'll make seed at a shorter height. So So what we're doing is in the early part of the year, they're able to eat a lot on that grass that we have. Generally, up toward August, we might have to supplement with a bale every once in a while.
Yeah.
So a bale here, a bale there, and things like that to get them to the next point. We're always, we rely on God's timing of the rains.
Mm-hmm.
And if we get good rains in the late summer, then usually we can go all the way to November before we have to feed.
Oh.
But if we don't, our feeding schedule will start right around October. And luckily, we have a large hay field that we can cut hay off
Mm-hmm.
of. So we have more than enough hay. So no matter how bad our grass situation gets, we can feed the cattle. We can still feed the cows. So like right now, I'll give you an example. We're in February. We've actually got a little bit of green flush right now of things that are trying to grow.
Really?
Yes, we've got
I got weeds.
clover. Clover is starting to come on. We've got some fescue
Mm.
that's trying to pop up right now. These are cool weather grasses, and we still have some ryegrass that is trying to come up from last year. So we've got a little bit of a green flush. As a matter of fact, the bull I've got a bull calf and a steer in the pond paddock, or not the pond paddock, but the what we used to call the mean girls paddock, which is up front. And they've quit their hay. They're just eating the grass now. So
Wow.
yeah,
Really?
yes.
Well, see, it's all mud and brown here, so that's awesome. You've already started getting that green up for spring.
Well,
going down there.
Yeah, and we, like I said, we had ryegrass, we had a lot of clover in there, and there's some fescue, and it's all starting to try to pop just a little bit right now. So, but those two in that large an area, they're in like I said, it's probably 6 to 7 acres of open ground. They're able to eat in there, and they're doing just fine. I am feeding them also because I'm trying to put weight on it. I mean, especially
Okay.
Gordon.
You're
I'm really
supplement.
Yes.
You're supplementing them with some grain, right?
Yes. Yeah. Supplementing
Well,
grain.
So that leads me to. So, do you know estimate of how many head per acre normally run in your area? Say they were running year round.
If everything was perfect, you could probably run a head every 2 acres. If everything, and I'm talking about to be able to run. If you're going to try to run year round and feed very little hay, you're going to have a head per 5 acres.
Yeah.
So
okay.
But if you're going to feed through the winter, you can get by with a head per 2 acres. We actually have more cattle on the property than the property should actually.
You're getting to where I was. That's headed exactly where I was going to head with this. Because of your rotational grazing, you're able to increase the head on a given piece of ground.
Yeah. Exactly. And last year we didn't have to feed anything until I think I fed a bale right around August, and then we got some rain, and then I didn't have to feed again. So
that's good. That is so good.
So, and I think our feeding program started about October last year, and so we fed all the way through. And that goes into other things. We've got a creep feeder that the calves can go to get nutrition. And we keep that on demand. They can get it when they want it. So it's out there. We have a liquid feed program. So we're running liquid feed in the tubs and stuff, and that gives them a lot of the nutrients and things like that because it's in that feed that they need that they might not get from the grass because maybe the grass is stressed by a drought or something like that. So they get a lot of that from that. We have a mineral program that we're starting up right now, which is loose mineral.
Yeah.
We've been doing the blocks for a long time, but we're starting loose mineral at this point, and the cattle are in amazing shape. I mean, Christine put out a short today, I think, about the cattle, and one of the first comments was somebody come on there and talk about how great they look. And this is the end of
Wow.
you, folks. I mean, if you can have your cattle looking that great going into spring, then the rest. I mean, they just gain then. I mean, they just put on weight
Yeah,
at
they're
that
going to
point
be fat as ticks
instead of
as you
having
go.
to.
And for those who aren't familiar with the liquid feed that Johnny's talking about, that would be like essentially your protein shakes and stuff like that people take as a supplement along with their
Yeah,
meals or their diet. It gives you that protein and those essential vitamins and minerals that you need is what that
yeah,
does.
exactly.
Yeah. Now, Johnny, what the two that you have separated from the rest of the herd that you're trying to feed them out, is that for your own personal
Yes.
use, or is that going to be something that you sell?
No, we're not here in Oklahoma, and I believe a lot of states. You could sell from the farm, but you have to have your meat
Mm-hmm.
packaged by USDA. You have to have it butchered and packaged by a
Okay.
USDA certified butcher. Right now, we don't have enough. We don't have enough animals set aside for butchering to be able to actually sell. What we're going to do with Gordon, I know you shouldn't
Uh-huh.
name your animals that you're going to do that with, but
I
Christine
name
named
them
this one.
all.
We name
So
them.
what's going to happen with Gordon is half of Gordon will go to us, and half of Gordon will go to our daughter and
Okay.
her family. So that will be enough to get us through till the next one. We get the next one up to that. Now, the other one that's up in the front paddock, we used to have. The last time I was on here, I had a heifer in there with Gordon.
Yep.
Yes.
The heifer has since moved to the bull. She has been introduced to the bull, and she is now a bred heifer.
Oh,
The
wow.
the Danny Star, which is the white-faced bull calf that came from
Yes.
Danny and Oreo, is now up in the Mean Girls paddock with Gordon, and
Oh,
we're all I'm doing is weaning him off of Mama because he's over 6 months in on her, and we're feeding him.
Yeah.
So just to keep him up, he has amazing body condition. He got all his daddy's best traits,
did he?
plus
Oh, nice.
his mama's white face. So he looks like Danny with white face, you know. So
Wow.
yeah, and we're really excited about him. It is going to cause us to have to shuffle our herd around some because he is. We're going to have to make sure that he is not the sire of any of Oreo's calves. So we're going to have to make sure that he doesn't get to Oreo, and he doesn't get to his sister,
Yeah.
which is Beth.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so we're going to have to keep those with Danny because I'm going to have both bulls for a while. I'm going to have to keep those with Danny. Danny's going to have to keep those taken care of, and then the rest of the cows can get to the rest of them. He's not related to anything else out there.
Yeah.
Besides, well, he would be the brother of Miracle and Liberty Bell.
Danny Star
It'd be
would
half brother.
Yes, half brother.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So what is your intention with Danny Star?
He'll be the herd bull. He'll be Danny eventually.
So eventually Danny will move on.
Yeah, Danny will have to move on from here, depending upon how many of his heifers that we keep. His heifer calves. Right now we're actually trying to replace our older cows. So we're keeping several of the heifers.
Oh, okay.
Now it might be
Yeah.
Liberty Bell is probably going to go to the sale. I don't think we're going to need her, but Miracle will probably stay because Christine is pretty attached to her.
Just because she was a miracle.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
Liberty Bell.
I can see why.
Liberty Bell has a little bit of a challenge. Liberty Bell has a mother that is great about putting out really great looking calves and stuff like that, and she has probably got the best body condition of any cow out there in the field.
Mm.
The problem is that she doesn't put out much milk.
Oh.
And she puts out so
Not
little
a good
milk, she doesn't have enough for her own calf. So Liberty
wow.
Bell was able to steal from Oreo, which is Danny Starr's mother. So Liberty Bell has grown okay, but we're afraid of the genetics possibly not having enough milk. That calf might not be like mama. So we're probably going to send that calf to the sale too.
Wow.
But Miracle, if she has a bag like her mama, she'll never have a problem feeding anything. So
yeah.
Oh, wow. So much to consider. I mean, so many things that you think about that are in the future. Is that because of mistakes that have been made, or these lessons that have been passed on to you?
Well, I'll tell you how cows were raised whenever I was a kid. Whenever I was a kid, cows were raised. They just had a pasture. You put them all in it. They just did whatever they did. The bull was with daughter, granddaughter, sister, et cetera, mom, everything else. And then you actually start getting some birth defects, and you get also what I call crazy cow. You get some cows that are just nuts. They're nuts from the get-go.
Yeah.
And so it's not a good thing. They say whenever it's successful, it's called line breeding.
Yeah.
And whenever it's not successful, it's called inbreeding.
That's right.
Yeah.
So if you see where somebody is line breeding cattle or line breeding any animal, it is they're breeding the daddy back to the daughter, et cetera, et cetera. That's line breeding. But if it's unsuccessful, if you get, weird defects and things like that, or crazy cow, then it's called inbreeding.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
so it's just so much.
The line breeding, right? And correct me on this, but when it comes genetically, line breeding will help enhance those traits that you're looking for, that growth ability, that structural correctness, that milking, stuff like that. But the other thing it enhances is also those recessive traits that you don't, those undesirable traits.
Yep.
So,
and Dale's getting into
I know on our personal.
Yeah, it sounds like it, because I'm like swimming. My head is swimming.
So, like on our personal farm, like we would always breed like so an uncle to a niece, let's say like that, or in the dog breeding world, that's what we would do. So you still are doing a family breeding or a line breeding, but it's not like you're saying, a father to it's not a bull to his heifer calf, a resulting heifer calf from him.
And I wanted to talk about that. And I wanted to talk about that, Dale.
Go ahead.
You actually you can breed. You can get away with that. You can get away with a daddy daughter on a cow. You don't want a daddy. You don't want a bull mama type deal. You don't want a daddy granddaughter. You don't want to. It'd be like how do I say this? There are certain ways you can do it and certain ways you shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I haven't gotten into all the different ways that you can, but I know that one, for the one generation, you can do a dad daughter on cattle. If you keep going like that, you start seeing those recessive traits like Dale was talking about. Like you'll see those humpy
you start
back
seeing
cow.
dwarfism and
humpy back, things like that, things that you really don't want. And you can bring it back by changing your bull. You can actually make a recessive cow have better calves by putting a different, by introducing a different bull to the herd.
Yeah.
So
that is so
yes.
So that's
now,
just
is that
part
true
of that.
with like pigs as well?
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
Except for it happens way faster. Your generations and your pigs can have several generations. They can have 3 litters in 1 year. So you can speed up that genetic process of changing the phenotypical traits of that animal, that family, faster and swine than you can in, say, cattle, because they can have, so many generations so fast.
And this is a really good point, and it's the reason why pigs can get feral traits extremely fast.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long for a pig that comes right off a farm to start, their litters start having pigs that look like wild Russian boars and things like that. I mean, they turn into, I mean, it's a quick.
Yeah.
Within two generations, they'll start having piglets that start having stripes down them instead of looking like the pigs on the farm that are white or spotted or whatever. The babies will start looking like wild animals within a couple generations.
Oh my gosh.
That's correct.
Well, I noticed like when Johnny went out hog hunting, like all of the babies that were running in a pack were all different. Nobody had the same pattern. They were all different colors. It looked that's spots. I'm not. Is that what you're talking about?
Those pigs right there, if you catch them earlier, they're all little striped babies.
Mm-hmm.
Because we saw
they start
so many
color changing as they get older.
Yes, they change colors as they get a little bit, but whenever they're first born, they're a fawn color and a dark brown to blackish color with the stripes is what color they are when they're born, and then they change into everything else. And the farther they go, because these pigs, I don't really know where these pigs came from. I have no idea. I'm what I'm guessing is somebody somewhere started turning some pigs loose for their hunting opportunities and things like that, and they have just gone wild. And they may not be as far gone as some of the pigs that you'll see down south yet, but so many. I can show you several trail cam pictures of these piglets whenever they're just born and they're just following their mama, and they look like they're not this tall, and they're all little striped.
Yeah,
little striped pigs.
Yep,
all of them. Every one of them looks exactly
like a javelina or something.
Right. So yeah, but we got off on pigs a little bit.
We did.
So
yes, we did.
Well, yeah. I mean, we got some more information to cover. Maybe we make this another episode.
Sure can. Can.
Good. Yay, good, because I'm learning so much, and you've got more And Danny has been busy.
Oh, yes.
So you have some more things with that we can cover maybe on the next one as well.
Yes.
Maybe.
Absolutely.
Okay. That sounds good. So do we want to wrap this one up for this episode, and then we'll have Johnny back again? Man, I learned something every single time.
Well, we're always learning, always, you learn,
right.
You try to learn something new every day. Is that what you should set out to do? Try to learn something new every day.
Yeah.
So,
yep, that is it. Dale, would you like to close us out in prayer?
I sure will.
Okay. Sounds good. Okay.
Heavenly Father, thank you so much for bringing us together for this podcast, Lord. Please use this information to help us all grow our homesteads, to grow intellectually in our lives, Lord, to use this to help teach others of the knowledge that we have learned. Lord, please use each of us and our separate farms to glorify you, Lord, and to help teach others of your love, your grace, and the miracles that can exist along that way. All this we pray in your Son Jesus' wonderful name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Dale. That was awesome. Okay, yes, so I guess we will close this one out for today, and just make sure and look out for the next installment on the cattle. I love that we're branching out. So, and we're trying to do this every other week, this pre-recorded podcast. We hope everybody's enjoying it. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It's going to be on my channel, Not For Nothing Homestead, and also on Dale's channel at 9 Acre Family Farms. So anything else you want to throw in there, Dale?
Nope. Till next time, go grow your homestead.
Nope. Yes, go grow your homestead, guys. We love y'all, and God bless.